Welcome to BergenStages Television, our entertainment magazine here at Bergen Community College. I'm Jim Bumgardner, your host, and today we have a very special show for you because we have not only the creators, but the performers for our upcoming performance called The Song Catchers, which is about the folk singers from the Great Depression. So please join me in welcome Dr. Andrew Cricken and Professor John LaBarbera. Welcome to the shows, guys.
Thank you, Jim.
Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Good. We have got so much to talk about with the show, but first off, I just want them to get to know you a little bit. Both of you teach in our music program here at the college. Yeah, good. What do you teach?
I teach songwriting, I direct the pop rock ensemble, and world music, and sometimes history of popular music. And I think I've actually taught maybe every music course we've since I've been here.
Right.
But that's for now. That covers it.
John?
I teach intro to music and the history of jazz in America.
Right.
And I also teach applied guitar. So guitar lessons and any one of these stringed instruments.
Kind of thing. Cool. So that's what you guys do every day when you come to the college. But we've done this special event that you've got coming up called The Song Catchers, which is about the folk singers from the Great Depression. How did this show come about?
Well, I think Tim Blunk, who's our gallery director, put together a show, an exhibit, which is going to be part of our show, that of the WPA photographs of the Great Depression. And I can't remember if he asked me or if I approached him. I said, I know some Woody Guthrie and Leadbelly songs. Maybe we'll do something together. And then John and I had a class at the same time, so I recruited him. And we'd worked together on this program called World on a String a few years back.
Right, yes.
So that kind of fit in to kind of teach both our intro to music and world music classes a little bit about these instruments that are American but seem as exotic as some of the other world music.
But not even, some of them 100 years old, but we've been hearing them forever in all sorts of music. So the WPA, the Work Progress Administration, was kind of the theme for the exhibit, and then you guys performed it. And I felt so fortunate seeing you guys do this and went, okay, we got to move from off-Broadway to Broadway. More people need to see this because it was such a great event. So, Tim Blunk has decided that he will give us the photographs to put up in our lobby so people can wander and look at these photographs from the Great Depression. And then you guys will be playing some of the songs. And who are some of the performers from this era? Who are the folk singers we're talking about?
Well, I guess Woody Guthrie was
probably the best known.
Best known.
Leadbelly. We're also featuring some lesser known people like Aunt Molly Jackson, who was a union organizer and actually only had one recording for Columbia Records back in the 30s, but became kind of, and Legionitis will be performing her. And then we're going back a little earlier, pre-Depression, to the Carter family and some of the roots of the music.
Which would be the early 20s?
Late 20s.
Oh, late 20s.
Yeah.
Late 20s.
But the theme of the Song Catchers really holds everything together, this idea that early on, commercial recording companies went down south and recorded. But later on, the government had, in the 30s particularly, the Library of Congress and WPA.
Right. And that's where we kind of get in this show where they went around and actually recorded these singers, right?
Right.
They're preserved in the archives, in the National Archives.
So they just set up microphones and their tape recorders and got these folk singers to come out of the sticks and play.
Yeah, I think it was mostly the efforts of Lomax, the Lomax family, John Lomax, and then his son Alan Lomax, that were probably the best known song catchers, of the 20th century. And
we're so fortunate they did, that the WPA gave hired them to do this sort of thing, but it was great that we have this preserved now.
That was.
And it started a little. There was the Archive of American Folk Songs, and a lot of the Alan Lomax's father, John, taught at, I believe, the University of Texas. So a lot of the academics, even at Harvard, they were coming from. Even in the 19th century, a lot of the European scholars were fascinated with the music of the folk. Right, that term of folk, right?
Yeah.
So even some of the commercial early country singers and blues singers, it was really folk music. They were song catchers themselves. So there wasn't this idea that this is my song.
Right.
That kind of came
later.
It's
kind of just talk about public domain. It was just everybody's piece of.
And they would take bits and pieces of melody, even the songs that we'll talk about, took bits and pieces of melodies and words, and even later on, people like Bob Dylan did the same.
So we're fortunate enough to have you. We caught. We did song catching here too. We caught a couple of songs for you, and we've got one coming up, Rock Island, right, John?
Rock Island Line.
Any history about this song? Is there any backstory to this particular song?
Well,
I'm the
And
historian.
what I love
learning a
about
lot
this
from
show
him.
is the show itself, the song catchers that you'll be doing, will have a lot of this history so that you'll learn this along the way, which is so fascinating.
Yeah, and we're working with Jorge Aravalo Mateus, who was director of the Woody Guthrie Archives and the Lomax Archives, who's helping us with the show.
Put together and talk about these artists
Yeah.
and where this music came from and how it influenced other music there. So Rock
But
Island.
Rock Island's interesting because what the Lomaxes did, John Lomax was the father and Alan was his son, they would go into prisons and record because they felt that they'd get a more authentic version of these songs in prison because people were locked away. So maybe they were songs 20
morph into
years
something
ago.
else.
right?
Yeah.
So Rock Island originally, they recorded with Leadbelly was their assistant after he got out of prison. And they went to a penitentiary and recorded a cappella version in Arkansas.
And Rock Island came out of that?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then Leadbelly went on and learned it, recorded it himself for the Library of Congress.
Right.
But a lot of the songs we know came out of these prison recordings.
Cool.
That the
So
Lomaxes did.
let's take a cutaway and listen to you guys do Rock Island Line.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll be right back. Listen to this.
I got cows. I got pigs. I got chickens. I got horses. I got livestock. I got livestock. Well, the Rock Island Line is a mighty good road. The Rock Island Line is the road to ride. The Rock Island Line, it's a mighty good road. If you want to ride it, gotta ride it like you find it. Get your ticket at the station on the Rock Island Line. Well, I may be right, I may be wrong. You're gonna miss me when I'm gone. Well, the Rock Island Line, it's a mighty good road. The Rock Island Line is the road to ride. The Rock Island Line, it's a mighty good road. If you wanna ride it, gotta ride it like you find it. Get your ticket at the station on the Rock Island Line. Well, Jesus died to save our sins. Glory to God, we're gonna meet him again. Well, the Rock Island Line, it's a mighty good road. The Rock Island Line is the road to ride. The Rock Island Line, it's a mighty good road. If you wanna ride it, gotta ride it like you find it. Get your ticket at the station on the Rock Island Line. XYZ. Cat's in the cupboard, but you won't see me. Well, the Rock Island Line, it's a mighty good road. The Rock Island Line, it's a road to ride. The Rock Island Line, it's a mighty good road. If you wanna ride it, gotta ride it like you find it. Get your ticket at the station on the Rock Island Line. Well, the Rock Island Line, it's a mighty mighty good road. The Rock Island Line, it's the road to ride. The Rock Island Line, it's a mighty good road. If you want to ride it, gotta ride it like you find it. Get your ticket at the station on the Rock Island Line.
That was great. What a great number.
Thanks.
And the energy of that song, that you hear the train and you hear all this kind of happening in that
Yeah.
particular song.
And he's playing, he could talk a little bit about the 12-string.
Yeah, the
12-string
12-string
guitar.
guitar, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very distinct sound that was probably the artist Leadbelly, who we're talking about, who popularized all these songs. He was best known for playing the 12-string guitar, and this is back probably the 30s, right? 30s and 40s. It's a very distinct sound. It's a very unusual instrument because it has a lineage that goes back to the earlier European guitars. And I think Pete Seeger was mentioning that he believes that it came up through Mexico to the south in the southern states, and where I'm sure that's where Leadbelly came in contact with it. And so each string is doubled.
Yeah.
So like the earlier guitars. So it goes back, has an older tradition that goes back to the 1600s.
It makes such a wonderful full sound. As
It's
opposed
very
to just a
full.
6-string to have the 12.
Yeah, and then it became the 12-string guitar became revitalized again in the 60s when a lot of the folk revival, it was very distinct in, groups from the 60s folk period.
Right.
Yeah, and that's another interesting transition. Like Rock Island Line became a hit in Britain in the 50s.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's,
wow.
that's really how it
Yes.
became popular. Lonnie Donegan had what they called a skiffle band,
Yeah.
which was they were recreating American folk music
Yep.
with a washtub bass.
The time when 60s was
Right,
such
and
a...
Lonnie Donegan actually learned in '55, learned Leadbelly from the Library of Congress, learned his monologue, and it's.
Oh,
There's
wow,
videos of
wow,
this,
wow, that's
and then the Beatles came out of that
Yes.
tradition. The
He's
Beatles
from
were a
Liverpool.
skiffle band.
He's
Right.
from Liverpool, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then Johnny Cash
Yeah, then-
learned it from the
So it kind of went
British.
all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean,
Exactly.
folk was big for us in the 60s, with Joe Baez
Right.
and, the...
Yeah. Yes.
Britain also had its
Britain was-
folk
but they
revival.
took our older and kind of...
It crossed the Atlantic back and forth.
Yeah.
That's one of the beautiful, interesting things about this, because a lot of the ballads that are found in Appalachia descend from the British Isles, and they wound up in the mountains of Tennessee and Kentucky.
Right.
And then, so there's always been this transatlantic connection.
Oh, that's awesome.
With
That's
the-
so cool.
and
but
Africa,
and it's
too.
still alive today. So
Africa, too, right.
yeah.
The African influences, and it all crossed that Atlantic Ocean.
Now, when we think, I listen to rock and I think Appalachian. I don't think Dust Belt. I think more that because I think the instruments being played. Maybe I don't know why I feel the Appalachian.
It's more, well, the 12-string guitar, I think, is more, as you said, coming from Louisiana, Texas, that
Yeah.
area. Uh-huh.
And the Rock Island Line was a train that went from Chicago.
The trains
To New
was
Orleans.
very important.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Through
and the
Arkansas
song's
that kind of-
about he's not supposed to have pig iron. So he says, I've got cows, I've got livestock to get through the gate to get,
Yeah.
so he didn't have to pay a toll.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Wow. So there's stories behind these
There's
stories,
stories
which is kind
behind
of fascinating
stories.
there too.
And that changes too
Good,
with
good.
the folk tradition.
So when we see the show, I know that we're going to hear a lot of these songs.
Right.
That's, so this is just kind of a taste of it. Is there any other people that you're emphasizing? Any other talent?
Well, the instruments play a big part. So,
Right.
yeah.
Why don't we talk about a
Yeah.
couple of them before we have
Sure.
to take a break? Why not?
Want to start with this
Yeah,
one?
let's start with the one by me.
Yeah.
The auto harp.
Well, if we go to Appalachia, a lot of instruments were brought over, including the harmonica, which we hear on Rock Island Line, were brought from Germans
Okay.
and originally produced
Yeah.
in Germany. So this is, I think the first auto harp was found from Germany here in like 1880.
Great. Well, give us a strum or
Yeah,
two, yeah.
well, I have to, let me
Did some
put on
picks.
my these are finger picks, right? Which is new to me, but so basically, it's got it's got these chord bars that
Yep.
so
So
Magical
angelic, like a
sound.
harp, of it?
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, and
Such a soft sound.
Very
Such a soft
beautiful.
sound. So as Andy plays this off, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back for the second half of the show to talk more about the song catchers, the folk singers from the Great Depression. Come right back.
This is the story of a boy who was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Hello.
Hi, I'm from Blue Hood Stone Barns. We brought a meal for you and I'm here to serve it to you.
Okay, great. Come in.
Zucchini Carbonara, made from zucchini that was harvested earlier this morning.
Again?
Hey, Dan Barber.
You have room for a little bit more?
Come
Yeah,
on
come on
in.
in.
Brochettes with sausage. So when we made that zucchini carbonara, you know, they're the end pieces of the zucchini and they're the cores that we cut away. Not to mention zucchini flour. Usually those get thrown out. We use them to create an entire second dish. Does that, oh,
Again?
I'm here to bring you your third course. It's the vines from your zucchini.
we'll have a little zucchini stem pasta. A different experience of zucchini. When we start to think differently about our food, we can get a lot more out of it.
This is delicious.
What do you think we can make out of this? 40% of food in America is never eaten. Cook it, store it, share it. Visit SaveTheFood.com.
Welcome back to the show. And again, we're joined by Dr. Andrew Cricken and by John LaBarbera, professors of our music program, but also the two creators and performers in The Songcatchers, coming up on October 13th in the Saccone Theater. It's 7:30 p.m. You can get your tickets now. It's just such a wonderful show. We've been listening to some incredible music and listening to the auto harp. But why don't we go to the next song, because we have another song coming up called Do Re Mi.
Right.
And you play an interesting instrument in this particular piece.
Yes, that's called the dobro.
Spell that, please.
D-O-B-R-O.
Dobro, okay.
And what the dobro, the name dobro comes from the inventors of this guitar. They were the Dopieta brothers. They were from, I believe, from Czechoslovakia. And they were immigrants that wound up in California. They were trying to find a way to amplify the guitar, because in the late 20s, up until that point, there was no the electric guitar was not developed yet, and the banjo was the loudest stringed instrument. So they was trying to develop a way of increasing the volume of the guitar. So they created what is known as a resonator guitar. And so you'll see on the instrument a resonating pan with two speakers.
But yeah.
So the Dopieta brothers became Dobro.
And so this was created in the U.S., not in Czechoslovakia.
It was created in the United States, and the instrument that I'm playing on in that piece actually is from the beginning of the Depression. It's from 1929.
And the dobro made it across the country, or was it a California kind of thing?
No, it became popular across the United States. Wow. It wound up in the Bronx because my uncle, both of my uncles were musicians. They used to play on the Italian radio station in the 30s. My uncle got it. Someone owed him some money during the Depression, and so he had that. And when I was around 12 years old, when I was starting to play music, my uncle gave it to me. And I've had it ever since. And I didn't have any idea, any clue what it was.
But it has such a great sound, which we'll hear now. Is there any intro to Do Re Mi? Is there anything?
Yeah, but it's a Woody Guthrie.
It's a Woody Guthrie
song.
So
again,
this is one of
one of the tragedies of the Depression was the Dust Bowl in the Midwest. And the severe drought. So, tens of thousands of people migrated from those states in the Great Prairie to trying to get to California because because of the dry, arid land. There were these severe dust storms where people would get pneumonia from it. And so Woody Do Re Mi is slang for money. This
dough.
is so if you
Yeah.
ain't got the
Yeah.
do re
If you ain't got the
mi
dough,
to,
right.
to pay him off,
Oh, cool,
you're not
cool,
going to
cool,
get there.
Oh,
right?
awesome, awesome.
And also, the Steinbeck and the Grapes of Wrath all comes from that, that era.
Oh, right, that's
Yeah.
right. So we're going to listen to Do Re Mi with the dobro playing as well as the guitar. So, so listen to this piece and we'll be right back.
Lots of folks back east, they say, leaving home every day, hitting that old dusty way to the California line. Across the desert sands they roll, heading out of that old dust bowl. They think they're going with Sugar Bowl, but here is what they find. Oh, the police at the port of entry say, your number 14,000 for today. If you ain't got that do-re-mi, boys, you ain't got that do-re-mi, well, you better go back to beautiful Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Georgia, Tennessee. California is a garden of Eden, a paradise to live in or see. But believe it or not, you won't find it so hot if you ain't got that do-re-mi, boys. If you ain't got the do-re-mi. Want to buy you a house or farm that won't do no one no harm, or take your vacations by the mountains or the sea. Don't trade your old cow for a car, you better stay right where you are. You better take this little tip from me, 'cause I look through the want ads every day, but the only thing the papers always say, if you ain't got that do-re-mi, boys, got that do-re-mi, well, you better go back to beautiful Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Georgia, Tennessee. California is a garden of Eden, a paradise to live in or see. But believe it or not, you won't find it so hot if you ain't got that do-re-mi, boys. If you ain't got that do-re-mi.
So that's such a great piece. And this was during the Great Depression because they talk about jobs and trying to get work and all that kind of stuff. So they're looking for work to get that dough.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that was, I mean, Woody, was kind of the seminal singer-songwriter, because he would take these folk melodies but write new words about what was happening at the time. So they call them topical songs.
And how did he get to? He went out there and he met these people and he heard them
grew
sing
up.
it. And so he grew up with all this behind him.
He's from Oklahoma.
And then he took these songs himself and
took the melodies and wrote new words. But he, throughout, he wrote songs about working people and things that were going on.
Yeah.
Even Roosevelt. And
which
war.
was 90% of the music from this Great
Right.
Depression. The folk songs are about the folk and
Right.
what they're going through.
He was the voice. He was their voice.
Their voice,
Which was different than what was happening in the popular music of the time.
They're
Which
completely
is all,
different. Oh, yeah.
all upbeat.
Cole
and-
Porter and all of the,
Right.
it's just such a different, two different worlds going on
Yeah.
there. But let's talk about one of the instruments because now we know the dobro. You brought something else over there.
I have the mandolin. Which this is the bowl-back mandolin, and it is derived from actually has a long tradition, goes back to the Renaissance lute family, as you can see with the bowl-back, which were brought over by the Arabs to Spain. It entered Europe around the 9th century, and then it developed, flourished throughout, and then in Italy, where it became very popular, it developed became known as the Neapolitan mandolin, And then when the immigrants started to come in the late 1800s, they were instrument makers. Naples became the center of the mandolin. So it's also known as the Neapolitan mandolin. And so these instrument makers came to America, and they found jobs with American companies like Washburn and Martin, and they made instruments for them. So this is a Washburn mandolin from the late 1890s.
Beautiful.
So before
Beautiful
before the flat.
So the flatback. So in the early days of a lot of even in blues, musicians were playing these bowl-back mandolins, and it wasn't until around 1910, 1915 that Orville Gibson, of the Gibson Guitar Maker Company, he popularized it by flattening the back because it became more accessible. Everything was changing here in America.
And that's what we saw more during the Depression, then the flat back one, the Great Depression.
These were very popular.
Even the bowback. Wow.
But then when the flat back, that became much more associated, especially in Kentucky and Tennessee, with the bluegrass music.
Well, let's hear it.
Bluegrass musicians preferred, so it's gone through
Italy, but
yeah, so like the Italian, the mandolin. The tremolo of that style, which is very dominant in Italian music.
So we're going to hear this in the show.
We'll hear
We're going to hear this in a few of the songs.
The mandolin,
we got the dulcimer.
bowl-back.
Dulcimer.
Which is an Appalachian.
Like growing up, I remember so many people making these on their own, not quite as elaborate and beautiful, but. And it's a lap instrument, just like the harp. So it's played on the lap, but you would think, oh, because it's stringed. You think
and it either has, some of them have 3 strings. It's tuned like that in octaves and fifth. And this one has a double string on the treble string.
I see that,
But it became, again, Kentucky and in the Appalachian area, you still find, dulcimer makers today. And then in the 60s, people like Joni Mitchell made it.
You hear the sound in the songs, And then we have our banjo, our classic banjo.
Yes, the banjo. Banjo developed actually from an African instrument.
Right.
Yeah.
That was played by slaves created, these instruments when they brought them, when they came, especially in the South. These were based on ancient instruments.
So give us a little strum on the banjo.
Well, this is the 5-string banjo, which used a lot in the mountain music.
So we have the Song Catchers going to be coming in on October 13th at the Saccone Theater. We've got John LaBarbera, Andrew Cricken playing in it. We also have a couple of Legionitis is coming in. Tim Blunk is coming in. We have Culinary Arts going to give us a bread line afterwards. So get your tickets now. Guys, I can't believe our time's up, but such great music, so much to share, and so much more to come. So please come catch our performance of the Song Catchers, the folk music of the Great Depression. Thank you for joining us. And guys, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
XYZ. Cats in the cupboard, but you won't see me. Well, the Rock Island Line, it's a mighty good road. The Rock Island Line, it's a road to ride. The Rock Island Line, it's a mighty good road. If you want to ride it, gotta ride it like you find it. Get your ticket at the station on the Rock Island Line. Well, the Rock Island Line, it's a mighty good road. The Rock Island Line, it's the road to ride. The Rock Island Line, it's a mighty good road. If you want to ride it, gotta ride it like you find it. Get your ticket at the station on the Rock Island Line.